So do you guys ever wonder why you were put here on this earth? That's a worthy question, right, to ask ourselves, because sometimes it feels like, we got millions of ads on TV, on YouTube, probably what you guys are watching on, the social media channels, all telling us who they think that we should be and showing us the lives of everybody else who seemingly have these amazing lives. And we're somehow always feeling like we're just a step behind what we were actually created to be, and watching happiness just stand right outside of our grasp. And, it's frustrating. I've been there so many times in my life. And, to watch and make it feel like everybody else has it figured out and that we're just somehow kind of wondering our way through, it's not a good feeling. 6 years ago, I was kind of at one of those points in my life where I had just started my company. It was a marketing agency, and I had $500 in my bank account at that point in time. I'd started my company. We had just bought our house, took on a mortgage, just had my son, and by some stroke of luck, my wife had just been laid off from a school counseling job because of a budget cut to the school district that year. And so I was stressed. I was concerned. I was worried. I was feeling worthless, hopeless, everything. And I had this American Bulldog. His name is Amadeus. He's a 85-pound American Bulldog. Was white with black spots. Beautiful dog. But he was a particular dog because he would never use the bathroom in our yard, so I had to walk him twice a day. He insisted that I walk him twice a day every single day to go take him out, which was cool. Actually, I enjoyed it a lot because it gave me an opportunity to go out and spend time just kind of thinking, talking to God. And I had a lot of revelations during that time. And I remember this particular day, I was just, self-loathing. I was walking around trying to figure out, why was I put on this earth? 35 years old, I'm walking around, for me, I made a lot of mistakes when I was young. I didn't graduate high school. I didn't go to college. I didn't have a lot of the attributes or characteristics of somebody who would tend to go on to be successful in life. And I remember sitting there trying to ask myself, why am I on this earth? I had spent 35 years of my life not knowing what my purpose was. I had spent all of these years of my life becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none, or so I thought, right? And I remember specifically that God, hearing God's voice, and he said, ask me. And in that instance, I was like, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that, right? I was like, all right, God, why am I here? And without hesitation, I literally saw, he goes, you're a builder. You're a builder of people. You're a builder of ideas and a builder of things. And I remember seeing this timeline in my mind spread out from the time I was born to where I was now. And everything that ever mattered to me was building people, building ideas, or building things, or some format of that. And in that moment, I saw myself as this 3D image. I was blue, this blue on this side and red on this side and me in the middle. And in that moment, it came colliding together, bam! And my eyes lit up, my shoulders went back. And for the first time in my life, I knew exactly why I was on this earth. And, at 35 years old, you look back at that, and a lot of you guys you have plenty of time to figure life out and kind of get going. But at 35 years old, you start feeling the heat, right? Especially when you've got a son or you start having kids and you're trying to figure stuff out and you want to be able to lead them well. As time went on, it was one of those, I'll never forget it. In fact, it's driven me ever since. I realized that if I wasn't building people, ideas, or things, then I was never going to do it. That became my motive in everything that I was doing inside of life. And, as time's gone on, I've realized how important having that focus is, but then also this whole concept of being a builder, right? And I think that there's a lot for all of us to learn. And so I want to kind of dissect that because for each of us to make an impact in life, and I say the word impact very, purposely, you've got to understand what it is that we're actually doing. So I'm going to break this down really quick. For what does it mean to be a builder of people, right? So have you guys ever noticed, kind of like in that instance that I was talking about, if you're feeling down and out, or maybe you notice somebody else is, and then it's you can be walking around, or you hear something on the TV or the radio, or somebody says something, or maybe you're in church or school, somebody says something, and you've been down and out for this whole time, and they say something and it lights you up. All of a sudden, in an instant, everything can change for you because of a single word or a single moment. That's always fascinated me, this whole idea of inspiration. Like, where does that come from? You guys ever think about that? Like inspiration, like the concept of being able to transform somebody's life with a single word or moment, or just to watch the sun come up and all of a sudden be inspired and ready to take on the world. I mean, that's a really fascinating thing. And we have the ability, all of these things I'm going to be breaking down for you right now, we have the ability to do that today. Each and every single one of you can start walking out and taking these 3 things, and you can implement them in your own lives, and it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to become anything more than you already are today to start implementing these things and making a difference in this world, okay? So how can we be a better builder of people? Well, first of all, we can look to see the genius in others and help them see it in themselves. Like, be the kind of person who can take a step back and not be so quick to make assessments about people based on how they might look, how they might sound, or something else, but look for the greater part of who they are and call that out inside of them. Let God work through you in that instance, right? Speak life into them. Be a loyal friend. You know, I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day. Loyalty, it's super rare. Like, to have somebody who would go to bat for you, who would be willing to die for you on the battlefield because they love you, because they've made a commitment to be your friend, and not somebody who's going to disappear on you the second that they need it the most. I mean, be that kind of person. We need that. Forgive people when they knowingly or unknowingly wrong you. That's a hard one, right? I mean, like when somebody hurts our feelings, they say something that's hurtful, they do something that's hurtful, they treat us wrong, so we think in our own mind, probably just because they're having a bad day and they're not thinking twice about it. Which, is that right? I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. But it's up to us individually to forgive them, because nobody else can do that for you. All of these things is personal responsibility, right? If you see somebody that needs help, take the time to help them. Find ways to give back to your communities. Like, all of you have that ability. Like, if you can think, if you're just here in Keller, I don't know how many of you live here locally, but I'm sure that there's some elderly people that live around here that are barely able to get around, let alone mow their yard, rake the leaves, do whatever it is. Find a way to be a part of that. I promise you it will do more for you in your life than it will do for them. Not that that's the motivating reason, but there's nothing that you're going to lose by doing that, and you're going to gain everything, okay? What does it mean to be a builder of ideas? This is something that I really want you guys to grasp. Like, everything that you see around you right now started in somebody's imagination first. The chair that you're sitting in, the clothes that you're wearing, this building, these pictures, these signs, like everything, the infrastructure of this entire country started here in the mind of somebody else first. But then they had to be able to have somebody around them. They didn't just sit around talking about ideas. They had to execute on those things. So what I want you guys to do is think about, how can you become the person who makes ideas real? Right? I want you to ideate. I want you to live in your mind and think creatively and do all those things, because it's important. And that's where these great ideas come from. Study the greats. Study the awesome people that have done amazing things. But also take it a step further and execute. Get things done, because if you can learn how to hear what other people are trying to say and take their vision and turn it into a reality, there's a lot of money to be made in that. Plus the personal fulfillment and stuff that comes from all that. So here, like, how do we become that person, right? So we learn the skills that will help you to take an idea from conception to reality. And a lot of times that's just taking action. I think we try to overcomplicate things in life to make it seem like, you know, it's beyond us, or we have an excuse in case it fails. That's wrong thinking, guys. We need to be able to execute and just take those actions step at a time. Sometimes you're going to get knocked to the ground, but you clench your fist, grit your teeth, put a crazy smile on your face, you get back up, and you get up and get out there and make it happen. Learn to hear what other people are saying and help them take their ideas and make them real. Like I said, you can make a lot of money that way. Learn to ask good questions, cultivate relationships, and build teams. You are not going to be able to always do this by yourself. You can start the momentum by yourself, but there are going to be people who want to be around people who are action takers, who are motivators. And if you can begin you start the fire and let other people be a part of it, now you're building teams with people who want to be as much a part of it as you do, and you can inspire them and help them use their genius to create these amazing things. You guys have the ability to create the infrastructure that we all exist in. How cool is that? It's amazing, right? What does it mean to be a builder of things? All right. So there's something special about creating things with your bare hands. I love it. You know, personally, I worked construction when I was a kid. Like I said, I didn't graduate high school, but when I got out of, like messing around in school or whatever. I went and got into construction, and I found my path. I loved it because I was out there, I was creating things. I was taking something tangible and leaving something behind that would be around for years to come. And I still, I'll go back to my hometown of Amarillo sometimes, and I'll be able to see buildings that I worked on, that I was a part of making a reality. And, there's something redemptive about that quality. Now, that doesn't mean that all of us need to go out and sign up and start working out, in a construction field or something like that. You guys probably all have garages, or know somebody that does. Go out and pick up some scrap wood, I love to make art now. That's kind of one of my things. I love to cook. I love to create, and I love making art for friends and family. And a lot of times what I'll do is go find scrap wood or things that I find interesting. Like I found some corrugated fiberglass one time, some all kinds of different stuff, and I'll think what can I make this into? And then I'll go and I'll create these pieces of art, and I'll think of things that would be valuable to a person, like for a friend or a family member or something like that. And I'll just get busy, get after it. Part of the problem a lot of times for us guys is that we feel like if we begin and we go out and we start to create something and we mess it up, that's going to somehow reflect on us as being incapable or wrong. The good thing about art is the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Marnie knows this. You get out there and you just create and let the deepest part of yourself come out, right? And let it become something. And it may stink at first, who cares? Throw it in the trash can. Don't let anybody see it. It doesn't matter because now you're practicing. When have you guys ever been great at something that you didn't have the ability to practice for at least months, if not years, in the forefront? Has it happened for you? Maybe some of you have raw talent, I don't know, on stuff, but even with that, the best of the best, Michael Jordan, all those guys, man, they're constantly practicing, shooting goals, all that kind of stuff. So don't be scared to mess up. Go out into your garage, take a piece of art, a can of spray paint, spray paint something that you just have inside of you onto a scrap piece of wood. It's not going to hurt anything. Get out there and do that. Practice some cool graffiti or something, Pick up trash in your neighborhood or around, town that you see blowing around and put it in the trash can. That's just a great way to think anyway, and to be that kind of a person. Think of ways to leave everything that you touch better than the way that you find it. So around here, in your school, your house or whatever else, I promise you, if you show initiative and the board is dirty and you go over there and start helping to erase it, you're picking up trash, you're helping people pick up trays, or I don't know what you guys do all the time, but it's find a way to insert yourself and to make a difference. It will be noticed, I promise you. And it sets the tone for a much larger scheme in life that you'll be excellent at along the way. And I got to hurry because I'm running out of time. But so in closing, I want you guys to understand something. You're not competing with anyone. You're creating, and you're filling a hole that only you can fill. Right? There's no, this guy is better at this than I am or whatever else. When you're a builder, when you take on that as an identity, it just is what it is. A lion is just a lion. A lion is not competing with another lion necessarily to be the lion. He just goes out and does it, right? So I hear a lot of people say that they want to change the world. I do not like that phrase, and I think it's an entirely wrong way of thinking, right? It's too vague, and it has no redemptive value in and of itself. So choosing to build the world, on the other hand, now you have something to work for. You're making things greater. Change, it could be destructive. It could be any of those things. Building is inherently good. It's going to make things better. So making an impact in this world isn't as complicated as we tend to make it. And each one of us in this room has the ability to be a young man or young woman that builds the world. And it was given to us by God as an identity, right? So as I was preparing for this talk, I asked God to show me what he would like for you guys to take away from this, and I heard this. Whatever your situation you feel head down by, it can change in an instant. Don't ever give up, right? God loves you, and he wants you to know and live as a son or a daughter in authority, right? To walk in authority in this world, to walk in pure freedom. And then also you were created with a purpose. Each and every single one of you were. None of you have just been put on this earth to endure it and to take it as it comes to you or anything else. You were put here to create it, to build it. So let's go out and get busy. So as you go out into your day, I want you to remember that you are a builder. You're a builder of people, you're a builder of ideas, and you're a builder of things. Thank you.